EACC cautions national and county officers against depleting coffers before the 2024-2025 financial year ends. Separately, the NCIC chair urges protesters ahead of Wednesday's demonstrations to maintain peace and recommends the prosecution of former Deputy President Gachagua for allegedly engaging in hate speech. Good evening from wherever you're watching us. My name is Mboya. We begin this live broadcast with a look at our top stories tonight.
Unauthorized persons must refrain from accessing protected areas under the Protected Areas Act, Cap 204 laws of Kenya.
For the people who want to undermine, demean, try to intimidate our security agencies, I am telling them you're doing the wrong thing.
No-go zone. Police boss warns against attempts to occupy government-protected areas, with President Ruto warning against police provocation. Let the Wednesday protest go on, Raila tells government as opposition leaders ask police to exercise restraint.
Our young people are not enemies of the state. They are citizens with valid concerns who should be heard and supported in building a better future for all.
The state has no option but to listen to the voices of the young people, says Catholic bishops ahead of Wednesday planned protests. This live broadcast, speak to us on our social platforms at KBC Channel 1. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Lensa Odingo. My colleague Odim is away. Muchuma should be back next week. We begin this live broadcast with a look at our lead story. The Inspector General of National Police Service, Douglas Kanja, is tonight warning members of the public against any attempts to access the country's protected areas during the Gen Z protests scheduled for Wednesday tomorrow. Speaking in Nairobi, Kenya, Kanja, however, assured members of the public of their safety, undertaking to dismantle any criminal networks hell-bent on causing mayhem tomorrow. That report opens our coverage tonight.
The country security organ has reassured the public of safety during the protest, meant to mark the first anniversary of the Gen Z protest on June 25, 2024. However, the police boss Douglas Kanja noted that the National Police Service shall at all times lawfully and firmly prevent any breach of peace by any group of persons.
The National Police Service remains steadfast in its commitment to protecting lives and property across the country. We assure the public that we will continue pursuing and dismantling criminal networks to ensure the safety and security of all Kenyans, residents and visitors.
IG Kanja urged demonstrators to conduct themselves peacefully and refrain from provoking police.
It is important to note that unauthorized persons must refrain from accessing protected areas under the Protected Areas Act. The public is also urged to refrain from provocative acts directed to police officers in the execution of their duties.
He also appealed to the public to continue supporting their efforts in maintenance of law and order and report suspicious activities. Such information shall be treated with utmost confidentiality.
I appeal to the public to continue supporting our efforts and to report suspicious activities to the nearest police station. All the same via the provided channels, our focus remains on being a professional, efficient, and responsive police service that delivers effective, people-centric, and accountable policing for safe and prosperous society.
Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition.
Meanwhile, President William Ruto has called on all Kenyans to rally behind their police and other security agencies to keep the country secure, peaceful, and stable. The president lauded the police for their commitment, saying that peace and stability are the foundation of a functioning nation. Abdiaziz Hashim with that report.
On the eve of the commemoration of the youth who lost their lives in the Gen Z-led anti-finance bill protests in June last year, the national government has weighed in on the matter.
I ask of every citizen and every leader to respect our police and to support our police to make sure that they secure our country.
During a breakfast meeting with the Football Kenya Federation Premier League champions at State House, Nairobi, President William Ruto used the occasion to call on Kenyans to support the National Police Service for a secure, peaceful and stable country.
For the people who want to undermine, demean, try to intimidate our security agencies, I am telling them you're doing the wrong thing. Our security men and women deserve every support that we can muster.
You will find that despite that process, you will find people who are looking for every reason to come to street and to cause mayhem and to stop people's businesses. And then the police officers are sitting every day simulating how they will be able to stop these people.
The head of state further pledged that his administration will provide the necessary backing and infrastructure to help them perform their duties lawfully and effectively.
Without peace and security, without stability, we don't have a nation. It is just as simple as that. And as Kenyans, we must be clear on how we go and where we go and how we get where we want to get.
Kenya is the country that has the most difficult political environment to operate as a police officer. Political and constitutional. On one hand, the police are extremely constricted on what they can do and not do when it comes to managing public and making sure there is law and order.
This as Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen urged Kenyans to exercise restraint.
If a citizen of America, in any state, however far from the Washington DC is, was to write in their social media that let us go and invade White House, Your Excellency, the Secret Service would pick them from their homes. It is only in Kenya where a citizen will say they will invade Parliament, they will invade the judiciary, they will visit State House, and they still walk scot-free, not charged, and even when they are taken to court, Your Excellency, they will be released on, and they are told you can just go home for free.
The government maintains that it is ready to engage in conversations with families of those who died during the protests held in June 2024.
I'm also a proud Inspector General of the National Police Service for the works that the officers of the National Police Service have continued to do for this country to ensure that our country have remained safe and secure. And I want to assure them that we stand with them, we support them, we want them to execute their mandate to ensure that our country remains safe from north to south, from east to the west.
Abdiaziz Hashim for Prime Edition.
Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga has weighed in, and he is urging the government to allow Wednesday's planned nationwide demonstrations to commemorate the first anniversary of last year's Gen Z-led protests to proceed peacefully. Raila noted that picketing is a constitutional right and called on demonstrators to maintain peace. The Orange Democratic Movement leader also faulted the government for not compensating the families of those who lost their lives and those who were injured during last year's demonstrations. He made the remarks during the groundbreaking ceremony of ECD classrooms in Jomvu constituency, that's in Mombasa County.
Ana haki ya bila kukuwa na silaha yoyote, kutoka na kukutana na vile vile kufanya maandamano na vile vile kugoma na vile vile kupeleka kumbukumbu kwa serikali. Hiyo ni haki ambayo iko ndani ya katiba yetu. Wale vijana ambao waliwawa, wazazi wao wapewe fidia. Wale ambao walipata majeraha, serikali itoe pesa ya kuwasaidia ili tuweze kumaliza hii maneno yote.
Tunawaambia wale ambao kwamba ni mapolisi, anayetaka kuandamana aandamane, lakini aweze kuhakikisha amelindwa. Na yule ambaye kwamba anayeandamana, ukumbuke ya kwa kuna haki ya mwenzako.
It's 11 minutes past the top of the hour, our first break. Right now, when we come back, we will be telling you what the Catholic bishops are saying about tomorrow's planned protests, including other stories as well. Stay with us.
They say the art without art will just be, get it? We circumnavigate the globe and traverse the local scene to bring you art and culture at their very best. From fine art, culinary art, performing arts, and even cultural events, you name it, and we have got you covered. My name is Kevin Kasioki, and I will be serving you this and much, much more each and every Friday at 8 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
I have to go look for her.
Unajua Gloria amejificha.
Mali imefika, afadhali nichukue watoto niende tu niishi nao kwangu. No, please don't say that.
Kama nakupigia kelele, utoke kwa nyumba brother.
Mimi sitaki kisirani na wewe asubuhi yote tafadhali.
Watch your tongue. You have a very loose tongue to be a wife and to be a woman.
Enough already.
Where's babe?
Auntie Gloria did not show up.
Ati, are you sure?
I got tired of waiting.
Unajua kwa nini Gloria alichukua huyo mtoto?
I don't, and why should I?
You know. Think about it. You'll figure it out.
What?
Welcome back to Prime Edition, our socials at KBC Channel 1. Speak to us. Let us know what your thoughts are on some of the stories that we are carrying for you. Now let's swing to the next item. The Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, KCCB, has called on the state to ensure the protection of protesters during Wednesday's commemoration march for those who lost their lives during last year's anti-finance bill protests. The bishops say that the state has no option but to listen to the voices of the young people who are demanding accountability and also compensation for the victims of police brutality. They, however, further called on demonstrators to maintain peace and avoid violent confrontations with the police. JJ Curia puts that story in perspective.
The Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, KCCB, the apex body of Catholic bishops, have called on the government to ensure it does not renege on its responsibility to protect lives and property in the planned Wednesday demonstrations. They condemned last week's Tuesday scenes where armed goons infiltrated demonstrations, pushing for accountability in the death of blogger and teacher Albert Ojwang.
We call on the security agents to ensure we do not have a repeat of the protected goons who brought violence in the recent protests. How can goons work together with the police? We demand justice for all those murdered and those shot, and conviction of all the perpetrators.
Our security institutions must recommit themselves to professionalism, fairness, and national service.
The bishops called on the government to pay attention and listen to the youth who they say are voicing legitimate concerns.
That the current governance culture continues to sideline the majority, that there is massive misuse of public resources, and that the response to questioning or honest civic expression is now being met with brutal hostility.
A society that instills fear in its youth for simply speaking out is a society walking away from justice. Our young people are not enemies of the state. They are citizens with valid concerns who should be heard and supported in building a better future for all.
The conference has decried what it calls the selective application of a law and the shrinking space for dissent, calling for credible and independent investigations into alleged mysterious abductions, police brutality and extrajudicial killings as part of addressing the injustices the youth have cited.
Those responsible should be held accountable in accordance with the law. If the government cannot protect its citizens, then who can?
We need to continue building the confidence of the general public in the government. And one way of building confidence in the government is for it to institute bodies that can do independent investigations into these extrajudicial murders and the abductions going on in the country, to build the confidence of the people.
While expressing sympathy to grieving families, the bishops warned political actors against seeking political capital from the incidents, calling for honest reflection on the country's state of affairs. John Jacob Curia, Prime Edition.
A section of opposition leaders has called for justice for protesters who were killed during the June 25th, 2024 anti-finance bill demos led by Wiper Democratic Movement leader Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. They asked the police to exercise restraint during Wednesday's planned one-year commemoration of the protests. They spoke at Ufungamano House in Nairobi, Kenya, where they also launched the People's Restorative Justice Commission that they said will initiate private prosecutions of rogue police officers.
I've seen Minister Murkomen saying they are willing now to meet with the parents of the victims. The victims, they are willing. They are willing one day to the commemoration day. Who can take you seriously? I think this commissioner will ensure that not only justice, but compensation. We demand compensation now for every victim.
Demonstrations are guaranteed by your constitution. Allow Kenyans to protest peacefully tomorrow. As the People's United Opposition, we ask all of you who come out tomorrow to do so peacefully. Don't come armed. Do it in the same style the Gen Zs did it. If anything, just your phone and a flag of Kenya, as they did it. Anyone who comes out armed with any machetes, know that he's not one of us.
11 ambassadors and high commissioners to Kenya have also added their voice. They are condemning excessive use of force by the police, plain-clothed officers in unmarked vehicles, and also use of hired goons to infiltrate or even disrupt peaceful gatherings. The statement came hours before the planned commemoration of the first anniversary of the 2024 Gen Z protests. In a statement, the envoys called on government to comply with the High Court ruling that criminalized the excessive use of force when dealing with demonstrators. The envoys called for swift and transparent investigations into incidents of violence against peaceful protesters. Now, a group of women leaders are the are asking the police to exercise restraint and also to uphold the law in managing public gatherings. The group, led by Eco Network Africa Chief Executive Officer Dr. Jennifer Riria, is also warning that continued police brutality could tear the country apart. The leaders have appealed to the President and the National Police Service to prioritize dialogue and the protection of life.
As the country braces for another wave of anti-government protests, pressure is mounting on the country's security forces to show restraint.
I'm calling on the police. Could they exercise restraint? Could they just guard the population, guard the property so that the properties, but don't shoot our children.
Women leaders led by Eco Network Africa Chief Executive Officer Dr. Jennifer Riria says it was unfortunate for the country to see young protesters die.
Nobody understands the pain of a mother when a child is taken away, and especially unjustly. It is incomprehensible.
Dr. Riria is now urging the President to personally intervene and call the police to order.
We urge and plead with His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Defense Forces of the Republic of Kenya, to rein on all uniformed forces and call them to order and respect of the rule of law.
The civil society leader is also asking for a national day of prayers, healing and repentance, and is calling on religious institutions to lead the way.
Further, we call on His Excellency the President to declare a national day of prayers, healing and repentance. Mothers and women of Kenya are ready and willing to stand with all leaders willing to restore peace and calm.
While acknowledging the right to protest, Dr. Riria encouraged young demonstrators to remain peaceful, urging mutual responsibility from both citizens and security agencies. Ben Chumba, Prime Edition.
I think that the President should come up and say.
Now, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, NCIC, is tonight recommending the prosecution of former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua for allegedly engaging in hate speech. NCIC Chair Reverend Dr. Samuel Kobia has further revealed that the Commission is currently investigating 26 cases of hate speech and incitement. Reverend Kobia is urging those seeking to protest on Wednesday to ensure that they maintain peace and decorum. Joseph Wahungu with that report.
The National Cohesion and Integration Commission, NCIC, has issued a strong appeal to all Kenyans to exercise utmost responsibility and restraint ahead of Wednesday's planned demonstrations. Addressing the media in Nairobi, NCIC Chairman Reverend Dr. Samuel Kobia has particularly urged Gen Z demonstrators to maintain peace during the event, while warning politicians that any form of incitement or violence risks undermining the democratic space that the youth continue to enjoy.
We are warning any Kenyans who might mobilize goons to come and interfere with what the Gen Z have said are going to be peaceful commemoration of what happened on June 25th last year.
NCIC also sent a strong warning to the National Police Service, calling for respect for human dignity in its operations.
The use of excessive force must be avoided at all costs. And that's the message we want to be very clear to the police.
Kobia spoke hours after hosting Mumias East MP Peter Salasia, who met with NCIC officials to discuss youth involvement in peace building.
We have agreed with the NCIC on how we are going also, me as Peter Salasia, also going to be part and parcel in preaching peace and uniting this country.
Meanwhile, the Commission confirmed that it has asked the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions to initiate legal proceedings against former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua on account of spreading hate speech.
When we summon people and they do not honor our summons, it is then we are then authorized to
forward that case to the DPP.
Joseph Wahungu for Prime Edition.
No, this is theirs.
In a world where news is ever-changing, staying informed is more important than ever.
Join us every week on News Check, your go-to show for the latest in current affairs, breaking news and in-depth analysis.
A warm welcome to KBC News Check.
From politics to global events, we bring you content that matter to you.
We're not just speaking about the governance and how we want to see it, but want to actually participate.
Get your facts, hear from the experts, and really understand what is happening around you.
We need to change our system first. You have to do the impossible to make sure the message is home.
Stay ahead, stay informed, stay engaged.
Will these people, everybody agree?
Just listen to me.
Let's give him a chance to clear the air.
Catch News Check every Tuesday and Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Only on KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back. Some good news now. The Cabinet has approved the proposed doubling of the 20.2-kilometre Nairobi Northern Bypass to ease traffic congestion, amid growing traffic volumes on it. The project will convert the current single carriageway into a dual carriageway, along with 8 interchanges, overpasses and underpasses. During a meeting on Tuesday at the State House, Nairobi, under President William Ruto, the Cabinet also approved the Government-Owned Enterprises Bill 2025, aimed at reforming the governance and performance of commercial state corporations in Kenya. It also endorsed the Affordable Housing Regulations 2024 to operationalize the Affordable Housing Program. Also approved by the Cabinet was the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Amendment Bill 2025, which seeks to streamline public sector procurement and disposal processes. And 6 suspects charged with the murder of teacher cum blogger Albert Ojwang have pleaded not guilty before Judge Diana Kavetsa of Kibera Law Court and have been remanded until Wednesday, July the 30th, 2025, awaiting bail ruling. In the meantime, the judge has ordered a pre-bail report to be prepared and the accused to undergo mental assessment. The accused are interdicted Central Police Station Officer Commanding Station Samson Talam, Police Constable James Mukwana, Peter Kimani, John Gitau, Jean Amitu Abwao, and Brian Mwaniki.
11 days after they were apprehended, 6 suspects implicated in the murder of Albert Ojwang were arraigned in court for plea taking.
Samson Kiprotich Talam, James Mugwana, Peter Kimani alias Kim.
The Office of the Director of Public Prosecution strongly opposed their release, citing that the court has jurisdiction to limit the right to freedom where compelling reasons are presented. Senior prosecuting counsels Duncan Ondimu and Juma Victor Owiti stated the state has non-exhaustive list of compelling reasons with immense public interest topping up the list.
The public interest, if there lacks any other that we have established, the public interest in this matter alone is sufficient enough compelling reason to deny bail.
The 5th reason that I would wish this court to look at, which is related to the previous ground, is a preservation of the integrity of the investigation and the trial itself.
Lady Justice Diana Kavesa also added the first 4 accused persons, being police officers, pose a great risk in the prosecution of witness and evidence that has been lined up. The family lawyer Julius Juma urged the court to consider the gruesome manner in which Albert Ojwang was killed vis-a-vis the accused person's rights.
After the news of my client's death was announced, their humble family home has become a matter of public notoriety. Their home is now known by anybody who cares to know. lady there, deceased parents that are seated next to you there, and the widow are now feeling justifiably scared.
However, the defense lawyers in the argument seeking their client's release on bail say the right to freedom as enshrined in the Constitution cannot be curtailed by the seriousness of the offense.
But because people are going there, you are being told, let these ones now be denied bail. Where is the link to this? Because it needed to show that the accused persons are part of the people who have gone there or sent people there so that the apprehension can be raised.
We know very well serious allegations have been put on the conduct of our client with people who have no first-hand knowledge, called the state and the victim's lawyer.
Judge Kavesa was also told that the prosecution has not adduced evidence that the accused have tried to interfere with the witnesses either directly or indirectly.
As per Article 24 of the Constitution, still exists less restrictive measures or other alternative measures to make sure that the third accused person does not act on that apprehension, rather the allegation of being a flight risk.
The identity of the vulnerable witnesses are shielded. My lady, at this stage, you cannot say that we know any witnesses. The second accused person does not know. We've not been served with any documents or list of witnesses. We do not know them. And therefore, the argument that is likely to interfere with any witness is far-fetched.
They also argue that the accused can be ordered to deposit their travel documents to deter the fear of a flight risk.
All the accused persons must be subjected to mental assessment, which is a good practice to establish whether they are fit to proceed with the hearing. That can only be done when the accused persons are detained or remanded in prison. 30th of July, produce the accused persons physically. That is how the criminal justice works, and I'm very, very sorry for the orders. I see you looking at me with fallen faces.
Ojwang died in police custody early on Sunday, June 8, 2025. After lengthy submissions on Tuesday from parties, the court is now left with the task of weighing the public interest in this matter versus the individual freedom while balancing the wheels of justice. Ruth Mboya reporting from Kibera, Lokots.
Now, meanwhile, the family of the late Albert Ojwang has called for an end to social media attacks following the financial support that they received from President William Ruto and also from Orange Democratic leader Raila Odinga. In recent days, the family has faced criticism from sections of the public. Here's that report.
Burial preparations are ongoing in Kakoth Village, Homa Bay County, where the late Albert Ojwang will be laid to rest on Friday, July 4th, 2025. The family, still coming to terms with the tragic loss, says they are overwhelmed by the support received so far.
We are on the arrangements, and we have come to an agreement that Albert Ojwang will be buried on 4th of July. We thank everyone who has been coming in to maybe condole with us, and the entire family is saying that may the Almighty God reward you according to what you have.
However, the family has expressed concern over the rising wave of misinformation and online attacks targeting them on social media. Herman Opio, speaking on behalf of the family, says there is need for respect during this mourning period.
I'm requesting on behalf of my brother that people should stop and refrain from throwing words at him.
In addition, the family also condemned the fraudsters taking advantage of the goodwill shown by well-wishers.
The money that was channeled to his account, that is in M-Pesa, some people reversed. These people are doing something that is not good.
The family says it is focusing on giving Ojwang a dignified send-off and part the Baptist Church, where he was a devoted member. Doreen Arange for Prime Edition.
And before we look at the day's business with Betty Kiptum, let's look at this item. Members of the National Assembly have raised concern over the parameters used in the formulation of the fourth revenue sharing formula. They cited the poverty index as one of the contentious areas that causes underdevelopment in the counties. They also questioned the rationale of allocating resources to counties that they claim can generate enough revenue locally to finance their operations.
As Parliament moves to adopt the fourth generation of the revenue sharing formula to guide the allocation of resources to counties for the next 5 financial years, National Assembly Speaker cautioned members against opposing the motion. During the debate, members took issue with the poverty index and geographical size parameters that they say have led to underdevelopment in some counties despite huge annual allocations.
Poverty level is a parameter. Most counties have refused to even work hard. Honorable Speaker, there are some counties that have remained poor over the years since devolution, despite pumping so many resources into those counties, because the consideration that they know that as long as we are poor, we are going to get more resources.
When you limit it to population and geographical and poverty index alone, a lot of other parameters, statistical parameters, may not be may be left aside, which dovetail to production or development in a county.
On-source revenue-raising measures also featured in the debate, with MPs questioning why counties with such high potential still depend on the national cake.
Many Kenyans keep on asking, why would Nairobi County literally require any resources from the national government? It is the biggest county. All the resources are here. Why would it even require resources as part of the equitable share?
These are questions that we also need to discuss. Capitals, cities, or big cities like Nairobi, Honorable Speaker, Mombasa, and several other counties, do they really need this amount from the exchequer? Do they need to share because the own source revenue from these counties is actually enough to even fund 5 other counties.
The fourth revenue sharing formula is a transition from the third and will also see 12 counties receive a special shareable allocation of 4.46 billion shillings to fund development programs. Tilio Marco for Prime Edition.
The men and women in boats. They are commanded to defend and protect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Republic of Kenya. Their bravery knows no limits.
Make a man go through the wall without breaking the wall. Laziness, it is not in our vocabulary.
But what are their stories, their tales? Military Tales, every Saturday at 9 p.m. with Ben Troy Joe.
You know that woman in there, and whoever she works for, want you dead or alive?
Who's in there?
Caroline.
What? Caroline ule moja.
Please, haki mnishutu. Msinitese.
It's upon you to do your work so that you can redeem yourself. Sawa?
Me, redeem myself.
Those files and hard disk contain all transactions between Mzee and powerful politicians.
Why are you coming to see your daughter looking like that?
And who are you supposed to be?
Can you leave before I call the police?
And a very good evening to you. Thank you for watching Prime Edition this evening. My name is Betty Kiptum. This is the business news. Kenya Airways plans to invest in the production of sustainable aviation fuel while integrating electric ground handling vehicles as it targets net zero emissions by 2050. According to the carrier's inaugural sustainable report, waste management was reduced by 15% compared to 2023, with an emphasis on recycling paper, plastic and electronic waste. Gender equality also improved, with women now representing 44% of the workforce, which is a 2% increase from 2023.
The national carrier is in the process of implementing its long-term turnaround plan dubbed Project Kifaru. Under the plan, the airline has prioritized economic resilience, customer excellence and environmental responsibility. The sustainable report says it targets to increase representation in piloting and engineering, increasing its approach to diversity and inclusion efforts. KQ Chief Executive Alan Kilavuka says KQ is advancing its efforts towards energy efficiency.
What we did last year is we set up a plant where we are converting waste plastic to what we call pyrodiesel.
The single use of plastics across airlines, facilitating and waste management through the recycling of paper, plastic and electric waste. The airline sustainability goals support Kenya's own net zero ambitions by 2050. This aligns to the core businesses in aviation.
In 2024, KQ says 12% of its ground services equipment was powered by renewable electricity sources.
When you go to the airport, whatever you see in the ramp, those are ground service equipment. So 12 of those are electric as we speak.
Speaking during the launch of the report, Kilavuka says KQ is promoting the use of sustainable aviation fuels, improving operational efficiency and developing innovative technologies to achieve sustainability. Currently, Kenya Airways is seeking to produce its own sustainable aviation fuel in its bid to avoid high global fuel costs. Alonelko, Prime Edition.
Now, some good news for dairy farmers who are contracted by Brookside. They have a reason to smile after the processor announced a cash reward payout of over 303 million shillings after a 32% growth over last year's payout during a similar period. Brookside's General Manager for Milk Procurement, Emmanuel Kabaki, says the company is also bolstering water availability through the facilitation of storage tanks to dairy groups to enhance gravity-fed water systems.
The half-year payout under Brookside's Farmer Reward Scheme will benefit over 160,000 raw milk suppliers across the country who met their agreed quantity and quality targets between December 1st, 2024 and May 31st, 2025. Brookside's General Manager for Milk Procurement, Emmanuel Kabaki, says the scheme is a way of appreciating the critical role farmers play in the upstream dairy value chain. Now in its 6th year, the scheme has grown in scale to mirror the rising number of contracted suppliers and the farm's investment in farmer support services. This year, more than 4,500 dairy farmers have benefited from extension services, including field day trainings and demonstration farms that showcase best practices in dairy management. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition.
The Competition Authority of Kenya has warned property developers, real estate managers and internet service providers to cease engaging in exclusive service provision agreements. The authority says these entities are signing agreements that limit consumer choice in internet service provision. CAK says these acts amount to competition abuse, which is illegal and punishable by law.
Statement: the authority says it has received numerous complaints from consumers stating that the vice is creating monopoly-like enterprises in the affected estates. The Competition Authority of Kenya has since instructed the parties involved to immediately halt such exclusive agreements, prevent their recurrence, and facilitate the entry of competing internet service providers into their developments. The Competition Authority of Kenya says such conduct, often through exclusive agreements or outright refusal to allow competitor ISPs into residential developments, is seen as anti-competitive and detrimental to consumer welfare. Those found culpable risk being penalized up to 10% of their preceding year's gross annual turnover, and if criminally prosecuted, they face up to fines of 10 million shillings and an imprisonment for a maximum term of 5 years. The authority is calling upon consumers to report any cases of non-compliance through complaint@cak.go.ke or their e-filing portal, which is accessible through their website. Ndota Mokami for Prime Edition.
And the second phase of the 400 million shillings Maragua Ridge Irrigation project is set to start after delivery of water pipes. Maragua Ridge Irrigation Project Chair Charles Kigodho says phase 2 will also see households fitted with piped water. The first phase of the project is already complete and set to increase the acreage under irrigation, boosting food security.
Serikali imetupea hizi pipes ziko nyuma yetu. Tumefurahia sana, tunasaidia wakulima kama chama, kama kamati ya hii maji tuweze kuwanunulia hizo vitu zingine zinahitaji ili kuwa kila mkulima aweze kulima, na after that najua Murang'a itakuwa humble enough food for this county.
We have adequate food supply around courtesy of this irrigation project. We expect the youth around. We expect our mamas basically to get engaged full time.
Iko na zaidi ya milioni 400 na pia naona ni kama haitamaliza, lakini najua itafanya kazi kubwa kuliko yenye ilianza hii mradi, kwa sababu hiyo ilikuwa around 332 million and some cent on top, na ile kazi ilifanya hii phase 2 itafanya zaidi.
Now, Kenya's critical mass is facing a major financial setback, with close to a quarter of people aged between 18 and 25 being sidelined from the financial sector. According to the latest FinAccess survey by the Central Bank of Kenya, the other demographic facing financial exclusion is people above 50 years. Our reporter Irrigation Jenga takes us through the highlights of the report.
Nationally, access to formal financial services rose marginally by 1.1% to reach 84.8% in 2024, an increase recorded over the past 3 years. Kiambu County leads in formal financial inclusion at 94%, followed closely by Nairobi and Kirinyaga counties. According to the 2024 CBK FinAccess survey, financial exclusion among youths aged 18 to 25 increased slightly to 23.1%, up from 22.5% in 2021. Among those aged above 55, exclusion dropped from 14.9% to 9.7%, though it remains significantly high relative to other age groups. The report attributes youth exclusion to factors such as high unemployment, low income levels, limited financial literacy, and challenges accessing credit. Meanwhile, 51.2% of Kenyans reported being unable to invest, while 81.7% are considered financially unhealthy, struggling to meet daily expenses and plan for the future. Most Kenyans have dropped financial products, citing income loss and high service costs. Most households, at 35%, now prioritize daily needs over saving. Financial constraints were the top reason for not saving, followed by income loss at 18%. Only 3.9% preferred investing or saving through alternative channels. Loan defaults also increased significantly, where 16.6% of borrowers failing to repay their loans in full, up from 10.7% in 2021. However, usage of the Fuliza overdraft facility remained steady at 18.4%, reflecting ongoing demand for short-term credit. Higher purchase options such as Lipa Mdogo Mdogo have also gained popularity, with uptake rising from 1.2% in 2021 to 6.2% in 2024. Irrigation Jenga for Prime Edition.
And that story by Irrigation Jenga brings us to an end of business news this evening. Daniel Wahome is standing by with the latest in the world of sports. My name is Betty Kiptum. Have yourself a good night. Bye-bye.
19 nations will compete in the Total Energies CAF African Nations Championship, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania 2024, which will be staged from 2nd to 30th August 2025. Amongst the 4 groups in the tournament A to D, Kenya is pooled in Group A, together with Morocco, Angola, DR Congo and Zambia.
Algeria from the set piece, the header is on target, but it's...
This unique competition, featuring the best locally based players from across the continent, definitely has something for everyone. Just bring your A game as you let it flow live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
A very good evening to you. My name is Daniel Wahome. Welcome to Prime Edition Sport. Now, President William Ruto has congratulated Kenya Police FC and their women's counterpart, the Kenya Police Bullets, for winning the 2025 FKF Men's and Women's Premier League titles. Police FC won their maiden KPL Men's Trophy in the just concluded season as Police Bullets retained the women's title in a historic feat. Speaking at a breakfast hosted in honor of the two teams at State House, Nairobi, President Ruto commended them for their historic achievement and reaffirmed the government's commitment to developing sports infrastructure across the country. He said the government is currently constructing 37 sports academies nationwide to nurture young talent. He appealed to corporate entities and philanthropic organizations to support grassroots sports initiatives. Police FC won their maiden FKF Men's Premier League title this season as Police Bullets retained the women's title in an historic feat.
The incubator, the powerhouse of sports in Kenya. So if you combine our nation as a great sporting nation globally, and the place where that great sporting talent is nurtured is our Kenya Police.
These trophies are not just trophies, but they represent the achievement of your vision. A vision where you have consistently been looking forward to talent development.
Mr. President, sports plays a big role in the development of this nation. It allows us to nurture talent and also to show good example, particularly to the youth that it.
Now, in KCB are back with a sponsorship for Athletics Kenya event after a 15-year hiatus, where they unveiled a deal worth 8 million shillings ahead of the National Athletics Championships slated for this going into this weekend at the Ulinzi Sports Complex. 4 million shillings has been set aside for the National Championships, while the other half has been allocated for the World Athletics National Trials slated for August, where the final Kenyan team to Tokyo will be selected.
Leads and upcoming athletes from all regions in Kenya are set to compete tomorrow at the Ulinzi Sports Complex as Athletics Kenya holds the national championships to culminate the local season. Among them will be world 800 meters gold medalist Mary Moraa, 4x400 meters 2022 Commonwealth bronze medalist Boniface Mweresa, and the sensational sprinter Helen Siombua. AK has received a financial boost from KCB, which has committed 8 million shillings to support the national championships and the upcoming World Championship trials.
Ladies and gentlemen, KCB has been a key pillar in the growth of sports across the country. So over the past 2 decades, we've invested over 3 billion in various disciplines, including athletics, football, volleyball, rugby, chess, motorsports, of which, of course, the rally is one of them, right? As well as golf.
So here we have come together as 2 institutions, Kenya Commercial Bank and Athletics Kenya. We are becoming stronger. We are making Kenya stronger than ever before. And this is the best way to do things. And so I'm very, very proud that we are here together, and I'm sure that we will go a long way.
The World Athletics Championship trials will be held on the 2nd of August, where AK will unveil the team that will represent Kenya in the World Championship, slated for 13th to 21st of September this year in Tokyo, Japan. Frederick Moki for Prime Edition.
Kenya men's junior rollball team continued its show of brilliance in the inaugural Junior World Cup to beat Sri Lanka by 3-0 in their second match played at the Kasarani Indoor Arena. The Kenyan girls team were ruthless against South Sudan, whom they hammered 14-0.
The Kenyan teams to the inaugural Junior Rollball World Cup continued their show of prowess as the championship entered its second day at the Kasarani Indoor Arena. The boys team, who started off the campaign with a 9-0 pounding of DRC, claimed a 3-0 victory over Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, the ladies team outclassed South Sudan 14-0 to continue Kenya's run of brilliance in front of home fans. Kenya is hosting the Junior Rollball World Cup for the first time, which has so far attracted 7 teams. Frederick Muki for Prime Edition.
Now, the Kenya National Youth Beach Handball team finished 14th overall in the 2025 IHF Men's Youth Beach Handball World Championships, which wrapped up yesterday in Tunisia. The Kenyan team lost 2-0 to Mexico in the final classification match by a set of 17-16 and 27-18 in a closely fought contest. The team followed early promise, pushing Mexico into a tight opening set, but struggled to maintain the momentum in the second. Despite the defeat, Kenya's performance at the global tournament highlighted significant progress and potential on the international stage, according to the Kenya Handball Federation. Now, the government, through the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports, has launched the construction of a 55 million shilling sports academy in Keganjo, Thika, Kiambu County, aimed at offering a platform for talented youth to nurture and develop their skills. Speaking during the ground-breaking ceremony in Keganjo, the Principal Secretary in the State Department for Sports, Elijah Mwangi, said the academy's goal is to identify, nurture and grow talent among young men and women, adding that the exceptional talent discovered through the facility will be elevated to the national stage. He also revealed that 37 sports academies have been completed and 40 more are planned for construction in the next financial year. Thika Town Member of Parliament Alice Nganga lauded the government's initiative and called for the employment of local youth in the construction project to enable them earn a livelihood through these economic times.
Kimocho kuzindua hii sports academy, maana serikali kuna ile mpango ya kuleta sports academy Kenya yote, na saa hizi tuko na 37 ambayo tumezindua tayari na construction inaendelea. The sports academies has a budget of 55 million, and we intend to have sports academies in the 290 constituencies. In this financial year, we were able to do that 7 because of the constraints within our ministry.
Now, FC Leopards Under 45 unit branch has unveiled the second edition of the Player Awards Gala, which will be held next month in Bungoma County. Unit Chairman Olympia Musonye said this year's awards will have more categories after the introduction of the goal of the season and the best defender categories. Unlike last year, the second edition of the gala will be spread over a period of 1 week, dubbed the Cultural Week, between the 21st and the 26th of July at the Masinde Muliro Stadium.
Within the gala event itself, we are going to have a charity kind of run where we are planning to, because the biggest problem or the biggest challenge of our women team and youth team is financing when they are undertaking their league. So we are also trying to raise some funds to make sure that we'll be able to set aside with the new neck that will be there in this function or in this event. We're going to raise some funds and give us a charity or donation to the women team and the youth team.
It is unfortunate we have not won the league for 25 to 28 years. It's unfortunate 60 years down the line, we are still a briefcase club. The incoming office must do something. And why I'm saying they must do something, processes are in place and the journey has been covered 90%.
And that's the sport for tonight. We'll be keeping up with more as it happens. Remember, we've got the junior rollball team in action, so that's part of our coverage tomorrow evening. My name is Daniel Ohome. Have a good evening. Back to Tom.
Well, many thanks indeed for watching this live broadcast. I wish to recognize salutations from Joseph Kalani, who's watching from Taita Taveta, Famin Koech watching from Lokichar, and Panwell Rope, who is watching from Nandi Mosop Kabayet. Well, that's all we had time for. I want to thank you so much for making time to be with us. And as we approach tomorrow, Wednesday protests, we say for now, stay safe, stay hopeful, and remember, to stay informed. My name is Mboya. Good night from Nairobi, Kenya. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
Say the earth without art would just be get it? We circumnavigate the globe and traverse the local scene to bring you art and culture at their very best. From fine art, culinary art, performing arts, and even cultural events, you name it, and we have got you covered. My name is Kevin Kasioki, and I will be serving you this and much, much more each and every Friday at 8 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra.